Hi, my name is Julie Peppito, and I'm this week's studio visit artist for I Like Your Work. In my work, I focus on combining as many media as possible to show the connections between people and the planet, and to show how interconnected we all are. I wanted to share with you what's going on in my studio with the disclaimer that just about everything is in progress. What I'm standing in front of right now is a new way for me to think about tapestry. I'm always trying to push the boundaries of what I do and combine media in a different way, and one way that I do it is in tapestry. I'm working towards using bolder forms and bigger imagery. Usually I bury imagery inside my pieces, like in this particular part of the piece where the objects and images combined together tell a story of their past uses and the symbols that are actually in them. So we have a bird and we have this kind of soldier toy. There's someone's false teeth up here. There's an old kitchen rag, calculator top, embroidery. I'm trying to combine it all so that in one way I'm reweaving the fabric of the universe to be a reflection of what we are doing to the planet and who we are. So anyways, this part of the piece is in progress. As you can see this, I'm making a pattern. I tend to use shoes a lot in my work, and I realized recently that it's not really by accident, because my grandfather he came from Ireland and he had his own shoe business in Manhattan, and I grew up seeing the lasts that he had around, and my mom's 8th grade graduation shoes that he made for her. And then later I ended up working for British Knight Sneakers, and I just recently put all this together. I'm constantly putting shoes in my work. It's my way of putting myself in, and also just kind of a basic thing that's human. And also, I grew up being very interested in fashion, which is part of why I use fiber in my work too. But as you'll see, I also make sculptures. I also paint. I always want to combine everything, because the planet we walk on doesn't have separations between media. The grass merges into the trees, into the houses. Everything is connected as we are walking on the ground. So anyway, so this is my pattern, and it's probably going to get moved over. I feel this is an uncomfortable space, and this will get probably appliqued on in fabric. So I'll remake this. I'll take the pattern, I'll trace it on some fabric, either found or maybe even painted canvas, and then I'll cut it out and sew around it, and it'll become part of this collage. So if you look around, there are other pieces in progress that are more layered and have more subtlety in them. I'm always playing with how bold to be and how to push things back and bring things forward. There's always a push and pull. So this is another piece I'm currently working on, so you can see a more sculptural version of what I do. I wanted to show you this area of my piece to just show you more closely how I'm trying to merge the materials together. I start thinking about what color thread I'm going to use. And I know that I want to integrate some white in here to bring these whites in. And then I'll probably do another layer of sewing with a thicker thread. And I'm trying to really just integrate sewing with painting. And this also has to do with my kind of history. Growing up in an environment in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where craft was art. And then moving to New York City and realizing that nobody here at the time thought that craft was art. So grew up with all these craft materials, doing ceramics and making my own clothes and making jewelry out of beads and fabric that I got in thrift stores. And all of those things, when I was in college at Cooper Union, I realized, there was just this very negative reaction to the materials I was using, and I couldn't understand it because I thought I was supposed to be more open. But what I learned was that everybody's got blind spots, and it was more open here in some ways, but closed in others. And it took a lot of time for me to realize that it didn't matter what anybody thought, that I was on this path and I was just going to keep going with it. Later, I discovered Judith Scott, more recently Vanessa German, artists that were on the same track. Then I had a whole other thing to deal with, which was like, am I allowed to do this because they're doing it? Is it still okay to do this if other people are doing it? And I realized I'm going to do it in my own way, and I need to do it. So I'm doing it. What does it mean to have a Spider-Man doll that is kind of mutilated in this way, but you love him, people will love him, kids love the toys, but then they're kind of distorted a little. I want you to spend time with it and find things in it. I'm making these more two-dimensional tapestries for a solo exhibit I have coming up at the Camp Gallery in Miami, Florida, that opens April 4th of this year. I hope that you'll put it on your calendar and come if you're in the Miami area. The sculptures are going into another show that I believe will be opening in February, but I cannot divulge the information about that yet. Thank you for touring my studio with I Like Your Work. You can find more of my work at juliepepito.com and on Instagram at juliepepito. But I've recently been migrating to Blue Sky at juliepepito also. And you can read a full interview about my practice on ilikeyourworkpodcast.com/studio visit artist.